Yeah, well, and that's why I asked, because you always hear different units kind of have different standards. Obviously, you can turn on the news and there's 1.5 million stories about different Navy SEALs, whatever it might be. Last question on kind of the training, and I'm fascinated by this. I know the audience is absolutely going to love every minute of this. The SAS is known for having some of the best shooters and gunfighters in the world. High speed CQB, like you said, the Iranian siege at the siege of the Iranian embassy. The takedown of that is legendary. They were amazing when they fought with America in Afghanistan, Iraq. For you personally, when you got to do like that, when you got the first introduction to that high speed level of shooting, did you find that came easy to you? Did you like it, or did that take a lot of reps to pick up?
For me, honestly, it came really naturally. I was quite fortunate. I suppose it's one of those things that uh, I guess it's one of those things that they do look for natural ability as well. So there are just things that you're going to be good at, and things you're not going to be good at. But at the same time, you get someone who is, I've known lots of big guys that joined the regiment, like big, stocky guys who the beach runs were their worst nightmare. They would be like last on the beach run. But when are you going to ever run with your trainers and shorts on the beach in operations? You're never going to do it. Whereas if you're going to put a massive pack on your back and go around the mountains in Afghanistan, then the guy who's first on the beach run is probably going to be struggling with the Bergen and the kit less. It's like more than the mountain goat, And I've got clients now who are absolute mountain goats. I've got guys who I remember back in the regiment who you would look at them and go, "Geez, he's a big overweight guy." But you put a Bergen on the back, they will go, they're like a donkey, they'll go forever. And it depends, I suppose, what the job is. It depends what fits. So you've got to be kind of good at a lot of things. And when it comes to things like instinctive shooting, I always remember when I was doing you do the live firing week in the jungle, in the jungle phase of selection, and you do advanced to contact. So it's like contact drills on the range with 4-man, 5-man teams. There's a lot of pressure on and that's actually quite a an intense part of the course, and you do it for like a whole week, multiple times a day. You're on and off the ranges, and you're being absolutely scrutinized for everything you do. And the lead scout, so the front man, is like it's quite a pressurized job because he's going to see the enemy first. So when the targets pop up, he's got to give the call, and they test how quick you can see them, how quick you can shoot, how accurate your shooting is. But I remember what gave me a lot of what really boosted my confidence one day. We were on this range and we went for the debrief, and the DS used me as an example of how to perfectly be the lead scout. I was used as an example of a lead scout. He says as a lead scout, he says you have mastered it. You're absolutely perfect in your drills. So I was just very instinctive. So my eyesight was good. I was very instinctive with my drills, and I was accurate with the weapon system. So and not a lot of guys were. I mean, a lot of guys were, but not everyone was, should I say? But then you get someone who was not maybe such a good. Like I was a very good pistol shot, so I was always the demo guy on when you did demonstrations in the killing house for visitors and stuff for delegates. I was a pistol guy. I was a demo because my pistol shot was really accurate. I was just always a really good shot. I was always good with the gun, even from a basic training recruit. I was always like a sharpshooter, and I think that's a natural ability in a lot of ways. Some people just aren't quite as good. But then I remember you say that the SAS are known for the sharpshooters and all that. I tell you something. I remember when we were on the special projects team, which is like like the counter terrorist with the UK responsibility, and we had a guy in exchange from Delta. So this Delta guy, a guy called Ken, came over, and he was an awesome guy. He was quite a quiet, introverted guy, but really, really fucking good. And he came over and he joined our squadron, and we had we did he did the sniper course with us. So we were doing the counter terrorist sniper course before the special projects team became our remit, and we went down to the range, and you know you're obviously going to be competitive. If there's an American there, we all want to be better, right? And he fucking kicked our asses. Like he was better than all of us. And everyone was going, oh, this is embarrassing because he was really, really good. he was like a fucking amazing sharpshooter. This guy is. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. He was next level good. And I mean, he was flying the flag for you guys, for your side of the pond, really high. And I always remember we were like sat there being a bit, acting a little bit humble, because I thought, shit, the Yank is better at shooting than all of us. Even our best shots, he just wiped the floor. He's
Well,
brilliant.
I love hearing that. And we are I have a question that's going to touch on something similar. I don't want to spoil it, but that's a great tease to get into it. Let's talk about now kind of when the wars start. I know you said that you joined in 99 or started selection in 99. 9/11 happens obviously in 2001. So it's not terribly long after, but it's not immediate, right? When 9/11 happened, do you remember kind of what the perception or reception of it was within the British military? Did you guys know right away, like, we're going to end up going somewhere?
Yeah, yeah. You just know that whatever the Americans do, we're not far behind. We were in the pockets of America, really. In the Allies. So we knew. I mean, the day that happened, I remember actually that I was going to Scotland, because I live in Hereford still. Yeah, where we're based, and where I'm from, my hometown's about like an 8-9 hour drive from here, north. So I planned to go home, and I remember the day that 9/11 happened. I was in town. I was having a coffee or something. I got in my car and I was driving back to camp, and one of my friends called me and he says, "Have you seen the TV?" I was like, "No, what's happening?" He says, "Fucking World Trade Center has just been hit by two planes." And then by the time I got back to camp, the first tower had fallen. And then the second one, obviously, and the first thing we thought about was, right, we need to fucking get ready to someone's responsible. We need to get ready to deploy somewhere. But then I remember we were quite relaxed about it. My sergeant major was like, "Look, just continue your plans, have your pager." It's pagers back then. No one's got pagers these days, have they? But keep your pager handy and be responsive, but continue with your plans. So I still went to Scotland. We didn't get called away straight away. It wasn't as urgent as we might have thought, but we were standby squadron at the time. So it wasn't long after that we then ended up deploying. But we actually went on an exercise. We went on a training exercise to. We didn't deploy. In fact, there was guys deployed straight away, but it wasn't like the main squadrons. It wasn't that quick. It wasn't until like early the next year, 2002, we were actually on a training exercise in Oman, and we were a couple of weeks into this training exercise, and then we get told, right, you're off to Afghanistan. So we forward mounted from Oman to Afghanistan, and then we went to Bagram airfield when it was still a tented camp, and that was where we were based for some time, and we went straight on ops. We went straight on clearance ops after that on arrival.
Well, I have something interesting to tell you, and maybe you know this already, maybe you don't, but it just jogged my memory. Do you know that the Delta team that almost got Bin Laden in Tora Bora was that November, December 2001, right around, they were in England when 9/11 happened. They were doing a training exercise with some Army Rangers on the belief that there was going to be some incident with elections in Montenegro, and they were preparing for possibly sending them in. And so the first Delta team was in England. They flew to Germany, and from Germany, and I don't think I'm saying anything that's not public, from Germany into Afghanistan. And the reason I know that is because one of the Rangers who later joined Delta was on this show. And he said, when we were in England doing that exercise, 9/11 happened. We woke up the next morning and all the Delta guys were gone. And we had no idea.
Right, okay.
And they're
Yeah,
like,
I didn't know that. No.
Yeah, the first Delta operators that hit the ground in Afghanistan were in England on a training exercise.
Wow.
Little fun piece of
Who
history.
would who would have thought